Shows you your faculties.
How did you get first, second, and third there, Artisan? How did you get it first, second, third, and fourth? How did you get it first, second, third, and fourth? That's what I call stalking the internets right there. That's not even on the edge of the internets. That's stalking the internets. So I don't know if I should punish you or give you a prize. I'm not sure. Not really sure. Not absolutely positive. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Well, it's another early day, early live stream. I can't gauge where people are at or what they're doing. It's a beautiful day today where I'm at, so. Well, how's it going there, Susan Donahue? What's going on with you? What's your hippity yappities, skippity scappities? How's it going there, Phoenix? What's going on with you too? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. What's the news? Oh, there's all kinds of good news. Like really interesting news. I'm very good. Thank you, Watterson. Thank you very much. Very good. No, that's not mine there, Nave. I mean, that might be yours, but I mean, no, sir, no, ma'am. I'm doing well, Legalize. How have you been? Train derailment? I didn't know that. I didn't hear about it. I haven't been online quite a bit today, doing other things. But I want to come on here and chitty chat about the same but different type things. Because, for example, if you said July 4th, well, July 4 would be 7/4. But if you wanted to say July 4th again, you could say it multiple times again, but using other numbers to do it on the sly. It would still be 4 in their, all their brilliant, freaking stupid numerology garbage. So if you wanted to say July 4th for a second time, what would be the first indication or the first numbers where you could repeat the 4 but later through the month? How would you do that? How would you be the same but different? What would be the day that would say that, oh, well, that's July 4, when it's really not? It's a different day, but it's their sneaky way. Well, no, that's Roman numeral. Yeah. What would be another way of saying July 4th, but later in the month of July? What would that be? Can y'all figure out what it would be?
July
No,
22nd.
that would be the third one. What would be the second one?
July 22nd.
No, that would be the, no, sir. That would be the third one. What would be the second one? Yes, that's right, Kim. It'd be 7/13. That is exactly correct.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
And although they're numerology, and I'm not the gematria guy, but if you start breaking down the words, remember we were telling you, the entire English language is a farce. It's a trick, and most of the English language has been set up for some sort of disgusting game. Well, thank you very much there, Paul. Appreciate that. And if you start taking the English language and you start breaking things down into syllables, and you break them down to as you hear them, and then you go and you find out what each word means, you'd understand what I'm talking about. It's the same, but it's different. For example, this word right here. Hold on a second. This word right here. It's all a freaking trick. English language is a trick. This is why they tell you all other languages are easy compared to English. So let's go ahead and look at it.
I am Butch Loxon. I'm a Los Angeles-based artist who creates skull mask and performs in smoke. I'm inspired by the Day of the Dead culture here in Los Angeles. The biggest benefit of being on Facebook as an artist is instantly being able to reach your audience. Being able to have fans who support you really, really helps with my motivation and also my mental health. I seem to connect with a lot of fans in Mexico. I have a lot of fans in India and also in Europe. So I would say connecting on Facebook is limitless. You can't be afraid. You have to just put your stuff out there.
In business, you're told all the time that your boss will come up to you and say, we really want you to succeed. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and break that down. Spell out the first part of what you hear and spell it out in one word. What would that be? What would that be? That's right. Thank you very much, Moody. Now, as you hear it, somebody break it into the second word. As you hear it, what's the second word? If you couldn't read and somebody said the second word, exactly, that's right, Watterson. So when you put the two together, what would that be? You see how it's a trick? Let me give you another one. I know for a fact, hold on a second. I'm 60 years of age. I'm creeping up on 61 years of age. Now, I remember as a young man, I want to say when I was probably, I'm going to say very young. I probably didn't even know how to read yet. Or it was soon after I learned how to read. Let's say that, because I specifically remember my dad was trying to teach me how to read. My mom was trying to teach me how to read. But I'm asking people that are my age or older. I swear to goodness, I remember seeing, maybe I'm wrong, but I remember seeing back in the day that when we wanted to go get donuts, that's the way it was spelled. Who remembers that? When you were young. I remember it being spelled just like that. Is that right? Did I lie? I did not lie. I remember that. I do. No, it's not. Do me a favor. So, how did you get dough out of that? Help me out. Matter of fact, if somebody says do not, you don't get donut. You get do not. However, if you were to break these in half, well, what do you got again? It's like, oh, you're looking into it. No, I'm not looking into it. There are tons of different words that if you break them down in syllables, you can see. Now, what the hell is going on there? For example, the word epilepsy. You get out, you go to a Google search on each word and you break it down. What does ep mean? What does mean? What does lep mean? What does C mean? And then you take all the meanings of those and you string it together and you go, wait a minute, this is a totally different picture than what I saw. We're not talking one or two words. We're talking tons of different words. And they do that on purpose. And a lot of things ending with T. Or C. What is that? Somebody have a hard time with the wheel of misfortune? Hold on a second. No, it's not that. Come in to fix the sound. Audio is fine. All right, well. Not sure is saying the audio is fine. Is the audio not fine? That's another good one, Angry. Exactly. It's all so bizarre. So if you wanted to say July 4th in the month of July, well, it's going to be July 4th, of course. And then the second one would be July 13th, which is their numerology garbage, because 1 and 3 is 4. And then, of course, you'd have 7/22, which is 2 and 2 is 4. So you'd have your 7/4 again. Now, why do I make mention about this? Well, what made me look into something a little bit further is I remember that, I know this sounds very strange, I remember back in the 90s, I want to say, pretty sure it was 1990, I know for a fact it was. There's a movie that came out with Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, and Whoopi Goldberg. Now let me explain to you how I got there. Whoopi Goldberg from The View the other day made mention that Poopy Pants Biden could arrest all Republicans. And I'm thinking, that'll never happen. There are far more Republicans and libertarians and independents than there are Democrats all day long. You don't have enough land space. You don't have enough buildings to put them all in. Because 90% of the country is red. Sorry. So, keep dreaming. So, this is how I got to that. Because what I was going to do, I was going to take some scenes from the Ghost movie, from our Academy Awards, for her winning the Golden Globe and all this stuff. And I was going to compile some sort of jovial rebut to that ridiculous statement. And then I started looking at the movie that made her famous. And I started noticing some things in the frames of the movie in which she was casted.
Thicker, fuller hair starts with Hims. Discover sprays, chews, and serums made with clinically proven ingredients to stop hair loss, regrow hair, or do both. At Hims.com, answer a few questions online and regrow your hair in 3 to 6 months. Join millions of satisfied Hims customers and get your confidence back. Regrow your hair with doctor-trusted treatments. Get started today at Hims.com.
Yeah, I really think everyone should be in therapy.
Therapy? Don't need it.
Why do you say that?
There's not a single thing about me I need to change.
Well, have you ever given it a try?
I tried it once, but hated my therapist, so never happening again.
Well, platforms like BetterHelp make getting started so easy. And you can change therapists as many times as you want, literally by just clicking a few buttons.
Wait, so you're not stuck with the first therapist you're matched with, and you can hit it and quit it that easily? Sounds better than my dating life.
Please sign up.
And I came to suggest incredible. I mean, this is really weird. Just some very strange coincidences. So I started running time date calculations of one date and pairing one date against the other. because I have such a good memory for the most part, of course I forget some things, I was able to recall other instances. In other words, the infamous speech that was given by George Herbert Walker Bush with the whole NWO speech, the infamous one, I'm sure you know. And ladies and gentlemen, can somebody in the class help me out? What year did that happen? Was it in fact 1991? Is that right? In 1991 was in fact George Herbert Walker Bush deliver to Congress, I do believe in State of Union address, the whole NWO. Here's the thing, Mr. Johnson. I thought it was 1990 myself, but Professor Doom proved to me it was 1991, and it's right there. You can go get it. You can go get the date in which it was stated upon. It was 1991 is when he made these statements. So anyway, I got to thinking, hold on a second, this is pretty important. Now, 1991, if I'm not mistaken, is when Whoopi Goldberg won that award for her role in the movie Ghost that was released on July 13th of 1990. So, when you start looking at the frames of that, if you start looking at the frames in that movie, and you do your time date calculation, and you start looking at the things in the background, because that's what you do when you're trying to decode something. It's mind-boggling. It'll drop your freaking jaw. First of all, the main focus in that movie is 42nd Street. I mean, it's in your face. It's in your face. It's in your face. I'm not from New York. I don't know little about New York. My family's got some dealings in New York that were pretty significant back in the day, and maybe a little bit now. But for the most part, I don't know much about New York. I've only been there like twice in my life. So I don't know what's on 42nd Avenue. So I had to go check. So what's on 42nd Avenue is essentially, I guess it's a very long street, and it's in Manhattan, and that's right up there with Times Square, and Broadway and the whole 9 yards. Like, okay, strange. I also remember that back in the 70s and the 80s, when the United States economy was taking the biggest dump of all time, yes it was, and is now in office. So, gosh, that's going to be 10 years. So, 91 and then 2001. That's 10 years later. So 10 years later, from 1991, was Bush Sr. was president at the time. And wouldn't you know it? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Wouldn't you know it? Under his watch, the planning of the first takedown of one of the towers occurred on February 26th of, I want to say 1993. Is that right? Can somebody look that up? February 26th of 1993. Is that right? I'm just trying to go by memory. In which 6 people were taken out but not to lunch, and over 1,000 people were injured. That's 93. February 26th. What year did that happen? 1993. I'm pretty damn sure that's right. Can somebody check? Or do I need to check myself? I'm sure you're looking it up. Now, why that's important is because who was the Assistant Attorney General for the Attorney General's office? That James Comey. James Comey, right here, February 26, 1993. At 12:18 p.m. So I was right. That's right. February 26th of 1993. In other words, that's 2 months into the. That's after Bush, because inauguration occurs every that happens on. See how that works? So that mess and under Bush. If you remember, then of course Billy Clinton was president at the time. But the ordeal was planned before Billy Clinton came into office. You got that? Also got to remember that Mr. James Comey, he had 2 degrees. One of those degrees was in chemistry, and the other one was in religion.
Over to our local children's hospital, and that's when they told us that he had cancer. I couldn't believe that something that big was inside his little head. And everybody always says the worst sentence in the world is you have cancer, and it's not. The worst sentence in the world is cancer. Our oncologist reached out to St. Jude.
St. Jude knew exactly what was happening. They already had a clinical trial going on. The discoveries that St. Jude makes are shared freely around the world. What was important to me was knowing that anything I did would help future kids, because no child. Cancer. We never got a bill from ever. Ever.
Thanks to generous donors like you, families never bill from for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can focus on helping their child live.
Nobody expects their child to get diagnosed with cancer, but then when they are, you are so grateful that there's a place like St. Jude. We were just treated from the very beginning like family. I think it's the most worthwhile place to put your money when it comes to childhood cancer.
Join with your debit or credit card right now, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt that you can proudly wear to show your support.
If it wasn't for St. Jude's and the people who donate and give money, I wouldn't have my boy.
other words, we are 7 years behind where these knuckleheads planned for us to be. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, the goal was to take that building down. It sure was, and drop it. And as that building would drop, it would drop all the other buildings, not to mention all the other people on the ground. That was already determined by an Australian investigative company that did some sort of analytical review of the position of that and what that would have done and what would have been the results. And the result would have been 100,000 people would be gone if that would have happened. But it didn't happen that way because the building stood strong. So 10 years after Senior, his son becomes president. Wow, imagine that. That's crazy. Okay. And what occurs in September? I'm sure you can guess, probably figured out. In which 2 buildings, 2 towers. But actually 2 towers and then 1 building. We know what happened next. Now what's strange about that is, if you do a time calculation from July 13th of 1990 to that infamous day in September, let me do it live. Let me just go ahead and do it real quick for you. Go ahead and pull it up. The almost but different thing here. Let's go July 13, 1990. And then let's go September. I'm sure you can figure out what day that was. 2001. Let's calculate the duration. Okay, well, it just happened to be 11 years, 1 month, and 29 days. So, according to, these numerologists, 1 and 1 is 2. That remains 1. And this is also 7. And then 1 and 1 is 2 again. Which the equation is right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just curious to know, can somebody give me an area code of New York? Just curious if maybe you can figure that, what the area code is for New York.
Many health conditions hide in plain sight. Are you missing any signs? Find out at seehiddensigns.com. When your life is powered by an Intel Core Ultra processor, you've got what it takes to unlock new AI experiences. Like using AI on your PC to make your photography more vibrant and dynamic. Or easily remove unwanted elements. And when it comes to video, let your personal assistant editor handle lots of the most time-consuming tasks automatically. With the performance of an Intel Core Ultra processor-powered laptop, you can do more in less time and have plenty of battery life to do it, all while keeping your data more private by keeping it local to your PC. Unlock new AI experiences with an Intel Core Ultra processor.
Whoa. Like so? Watch this. Let's go ahead and go from, I know, that's a little strange, isn't it? Let's go ahead and go. Now again, here, let's just keep this right here. Let's do the the 1 to 1, the 1, and then the 2-9. Okay, we'll get that. That's what we came up with. All right, let's just move right along. Let's see, 133 months, 29 days, and of course, 4,078 days, and then 582 weeks. That's the breakdown of that. So let's go to check something else out. Go to, right, that world. Here's a strange thing. Now, if you go from, let me give you the dates so you know. If you go from that day, September of 2001, and you go to July 13th of 2024, well, you get 22 years, 10 months, and then 2 days, right? Here's the thing. For the weeks, you get 1,091 weeks. Is that the weirdest thing? Check this out. If you mirror, it's gonna be 1, 1, and then that's 9, and then 1. If you're 19, then you're 19, and 11, 11. Is that the darndest thing? You know what's strange is 1991 is when that fella, Bush Sr., was talking about the NWO. They're going to get their way in the whole 9 yards. The mirror of that would be 19. We all know what happened in 19 because, hey, that's the Wuhan Wiggle. That's when all that crap started on November 17th, to be exact. And then 11, 11. Well, if you had these, this would be 2, and then that would be 2, and then you have 9, 2, 2, 9, which would be, in fact, 11, 11, which would be 2, 2, which would be 4. Did you get all that? Now, here's the strangest thing. I'm serious. I'm being so serious with you. If you remember Ghost, you're going to remember a scene where Patrick Swayze asked Automate Brown to put the penny under the door. Okay, so she took the penny and she put it underneath the door, and then Patrick Swayze picked it up, and you'll remember that Lincoln is upside down while it's sliding up the door. You see what I mean? Now, what could that mean? What is the significance of that? Well, Abe Lincoln. Does everybody know what Abe Lincoln is famous for? Freeing people, if you remember. I thought that's what it was. And he was not to lunch by some booth fellow, I guess. Is that right? So anyway, you got the dang, exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's you're in that area. So anyway, that hands the penny to her. That's going to be Molly. Molly Jensen was the actress, the fictitious name that was portrayed by Demi Moore, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Patrick Swayze's character was Sam Wheat. Okay, like so. And then you have the other character that was played by Whoopi Goldberg, which is Automate Brown. Okay, here's the funniest thing. Let's go ahead and let's just just for giggles, let's just go find out the definition of SAM. So it says, what's the first thing that comes up? Definitions of SAM: a guided missile fired from land or shipboard against an airborne target. Surface-to-air missile. The strangest thing. And I'm not making it up, I'm just saying. Then, of course, we got this thing called wheat. Well, what's that all about? Everybody knows what wheat is, right? Know for a fact that there has been an attack on the worldwide food source. That is not BS either. They're attacking the farmers in France and England and Germany and Ireland. And we're next. You bet on that. And you know, it's so strange. You got these big old fires in Texas, and it's not the fact that they're taking the cows out, but not the lunch or the chickens or the deers or whatever the hell, but they're taking their food source from them. So what happens next? Okay, you're gonna have to import a bunch of, wheat and hay or corn or something to feed those cattle, or you're going to have to transport them somewhere. And if you don't do that, they'll starve. Is that right? How many food processing plants have been gone up in smoke in the last 1.5 to 2 years? It's almost over 200 now. Wow. We turn around. Some plant that, eggs or chickens, Tyson, processors, that hot dogs, or do something with beef, something with quail, whatever the hell it is, going up in smoke, explosions. It's the strangest damn thing. Yeah. So is it the darndest thing? Because you got four. Here's the thing. If you look at the tree of life and all of that stuff, if you look at foundations, you actually have 3 pillars. You have 2 on each side, and then you have the center one. But why under Masonic rule, why is the 2 pillars so? Because that's foundation. Remember Samson and Delilah? Samson is in between the 2 pillars, and he's trying to break them apart to disrupt the foundation. Now, here's another thing. If you start going into the gematria and start and finding out the translation of the statement, in other words, for Sam Week, let's go ahead and do that live too, so you see it, just to see how crazy this really is. I'm sure it's a coincidence. I'm not saying anything by this, but I'm just noticing things. That's all. And please, maybe there's other noticers out there that can just notice around and just say, wow, I noticed that is a little strange. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's go to gematria. Let's go to gematria calculator. And again, I'm not the gematria guy. I never have been, never will be. It's interesting. I just noticed. That's all I noticed. Let's go ahead and put in Sam Wheat. Sam Wheat was the character that Patrick Swayze was